Tour Guides. I'm Carrie.
I'm Catherine.
And I'm Bree.
Today we are taking you on a tour of Bangalore. So my mom has been to India a lot, but I have not. She's brought me back a lot of cool things, but that is one country that I've never been to.
I've never been either.
A lot of my family has gone. My aunt and uncle spent like 2 months there very recently, and they loved it. And we have good family friends from India who have promised to take me to a wedding at some point. They said they'll sneak me in because there's so many people you can't even tell. I'm like, God bless it. So yeah, we're really, I would love to go to India. I've actually had quite a few like friends in my formative years from India as well.
Yeah.
So like, I kind of grew up adjacent to the culture in a lot of ways, and I love it. So, because the food is like some of my very favorite food.
Oh, yeah.
And it is my husband's favorite type of food, so we'd love to go.
Yeah. Well, segueing from food into drink.
And then back to food.
And then
because
back to
everything
food.
always comes back to food.
Always. So I had an interesting time trying to find something to cover for India because just part of their religion, they don't drink a whole lot. However, they do have a lot of really good whiskeys. And when I say really good, I mean like $100+ whiskeys. And unfortunately, that was out of my budget. However, there was one, Amrit Distilleries, that is in Bangalore, that has a rum. Now, I have not covered rum, so I figured that that would work well.
And I can't drink whiskey, but I can drink rum.
Yes.
Delicious.
I also haven't covered it. Bree's very carefully shifting positions.
Trying to be quiet. I decided I didn't like
We're
that
recording
position.
at Carrie's house today because we are celebrating her birthday.
What? Just like Tokyo, and Zach scared the shit out of us
I
ordering
know.
cookies.
Back in the day.
Talking about child dismemberment, and there's a knock at the door.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
That was. But yeah, so for those who don't know, rum is made from sugarcane.
Delicious.
Oh yeah. Now, where this gets fun is that sugarcane, like other plants, have regional varieties that, when turned into rum, can bring out different flavors, like grapes, hops, everything. There are two traditional ways to make rum. There is rum agricole.
We'll go with it.
Sure.
Sounds right. Sounds like agriculture and alcohol. Two
Right.
things that could make sense.
Right. And so it's made from a beery type liquid. I took that straight from one of my sources.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. It makes me a little scared. But it comes from fermented fresh sugar cane and is less common of the two. And rum traditionnel or rum industriel is made from the molasses. So there's a whole process of how we get from the cane to what gets fermented, whether it be molasses, cane juice, or cane syrup. Cane juice. And I was wondering how that was different from cane syrup, and I think it's just less processed.
Yeah, I think it's like fresh if it's just the juice.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
don't know if I like that term. Cane
No.
juice.
but like if you chew, like have you never chewed on a sugar cane before?
Oh yeah, when I went to the Dominican.
Yeah, and then it's juice.
Oh yeah.
I would assume that's what that is.
Yeah.
So it's like just like fruit juice.
Yeah. But I had a really good pun. Just written in. So it was, there's a whole process of how we get from the cane to what gets fermented, whether it be molasses, cane juice, or cane syrup, but I'll spare you the boiling details.
Look at her under that blanket.
Oh yeah. Nita's on my lap
I said,
again.
did you get this blanket for my dog? She said, no, it's for me. Yet.
Yeah, I know. Well, she crawled up in my lap before I could get comfortable with the blanket.
She's like falling asleep.
Oh yeah. And it's literally just covering her butt, which I'm like,
You already have a diaper on. What more coverage do you need?
okay, so the liquid is fermented, and the outcome is heavily based on the type of yeast used, like beer, and the temperature that it ferments at. Rum can ferment as short as 24 hours, so it's a quick turnaround and good for a quick profit. However, a lot of times it can get up to like 2 weeks, so it
But
just
still
starts
relatively quick
Oh,
in
yeah.
the grand scheme of things. If you think of scotch or something like that.
Right. Well, and this is just clear rum.
Okay.
So all rum starts clear, and as it ages, that's when it gets its color.
Oh,
so
maybe
if,
they
okay.
don't throw like food coloring in there and just.
I'm
jazz it up
sure
a bit?
some people do.
yeah, some of them
I'm
probably
sure
do
some
that coloring.
some companies do just what you just said.
Oh yeah, because they know that only aged rum gets color, so they'll just add food coloring and
I was
pretend that it's
being
aged.
sarcastic, listeners, just so you're aware.
I'm not. I'm being petty. Fun fact, rum is commonly aged in American oak barrels that have been previously used to make bourbon.
Okay. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Love.
Yes. And, get all those nice bourbony flavors.
Yeah.
And one of the rules of bourbon is that it has to be used in a new white oak barrel, so they can't reuse them to make bourbon. So they're one-use barrels, so why not make rum out of them?
Yeah, that's smart.
Which is why a lot of whiskey distilleries also make rum.
That's smart, so they don't have to haul barrels across large areas.
Mm-hmm. And I can attest to this because we went to a local bourbon distillery, what up, Bent, who would reuse their bourbon barrels to make their rum, and their rum was quite good.
I mean, why would you not?
Yeah, that seems smart, and especially because sugarcane, can grow in the areas that are making bourbon. So,
Right.
you could literally make completely, a farm-to-table rum, essentially, in the areas where they're making bourbon already, so...
Well, and it's, like I said earlier, it's quick turnaround, so while their bourbon is aging,
You can still have a
sell
product.
the rum. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So there are two sides to rum. There's light rum, which tends to be from countries that were colonized by the Spanish, and heavy rum that comes from countries colonized by the French and English. So I didn't know that there was a difference before this, so there's a little fun nugget for you.
I always thought light rum meant the clear stuff,
Yeah,
and dark rum, but it meant the dark stuff.
right. I did too.
Weird.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that little bit. I'm actually going to take a little sippy sip of what we got because it's quite good. Speaking of, we are indulging in the En route to Indies rum. This is technically a stretch because most of the rum that's coming from this is not from India, but it's rum from Barbados, Jamaica, and Guyana, all three of which have heavy rums.
We're all about stretches here. We're flexible.
Oh, my stretch is full-on splits today. It's a Pilates class. It's a Pilates class today.
Well, we know what to expect from traditional rum in the sense that it comes from one of the Caribbean or South American countries. But Indian rum, which is that last quarter that is in this rum, comes from a process called jaggery, which is different from, or Jaegery.
I like jaggery better.
Also called gur.
Favorite. That's the favorite.
Grr.
G-U-R. But you said jaggery you preferred?
I like grr.
Gur.
No, yeah, Gur's my favorite. Jaggery's my second favorite.
If we had to
Well,
rank this very specific type of rum.
Yeah.
Well, and I made a comment in here of because when I read it, I kept reading it as Jaegery. And it's different from Jägermeister, so it is definitely not
Thank
Jaeger.
God.
That's the only reason I don't like Jaggery because Jägermeister.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank God it's different.
But gur, this process, is a non-centrifugal sugar cane, which is a raw sugar cane, which is raw sugar obtained by evaporating water from the sugarcane juice, which is also unrefined sugar.
What I prefer in my coffee.
Yes. It has a rich molasses flavor and keeps the flavor in the rum.
Yeah.
So it is...
You can smell it.
Mm-hmm. So I pulled several websites to help me with the analysis of this because I'm no rum expert. But on the nose, they noted vanilla and citrus, which I just took a drink and vanilla all over the place.
Yeah, when I smelled it, it smelled like a high quality, soft milk caramel.
Well,
That's
and
what it smells like.
I ranked these in order of what I would expect versus things that I wouldn't expect. So you'll see them get a little wilder as I list these off. But vanilla, citrus, specifically lemon zest, cinnamon, cloves, mace, honey, banana flambe,
Bruh, it sounds amazing.
with a raw ethanol ripe mango twang.
Raw ethanol, right?
I
mango
actually
twang.
get what they're talking about, but that's so pretentious.
Oh.
But I get it.
I was absolutely judging these websites.
Yeah. So, who knew that rum people were the flamboyant ones in the alcohol and spirit society? I always thought it was going to be the wine people, but it turns out it's the rum people.
Literally, my next sentence in this was, it was like those super snooty wine experts who can taste things like gravel from the Italian countryside.
I dare. If they say that, they better have a video of them licking some gravel.
For real. But anyway, it is very thick caramel, vanilla, and spice, which has, and it lingers pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's nice. I think it's gonna go great in my Diet Coke.
Well,
I haven't had a Diet Coke in a week, so I'm so excited. I'm like laying here, ready.
So this is considered a sipping rum.
Bro, Diet Coke is so good. You know what else is a sipping beverage? Diet Coke.
It is, and I'm excited to adding this to my Dr. Pepper later because
That's gonna be delicious.
It's gonna be so sweet.
Oh yeah.
So sweet.
It's hot, like it's summer though.
It
like
is.
I feel like it would be excellent in like I said to Zach, coffee in wintertime, but I think it'll be delicious in a soda, like a Dr. Pepper right now.
Oh yeah, so our men are going and getting us drinks because we can make them. So we do.
And they're just being nice and getting me one too.
I'm ridiculously comfortable.
You're
actually.
part of us. They'll do stuff for you.
They will. Bless them.
But yeah, so that is our rum where we got to experience a quarter gur made.
I said gurgle, and I was like, why though?
We had
I
a
forgot about the
gurgle
gur.
of what is this rum?
Rum.
I had literally
this?
had a taste. I had a single taste of this.
I
and
poured
can't
us
talk.
a single ounce of this just to sip on. I still have over half of mine left, and they didn't even bring theirs in here. So,
Oh, I finished mine.
did you?
I thought that's what we were supposed to do. I misunderstood the assignment.
I will get to it, but I just had some flashbacks to
Yeah.
when I found it in all the rum.
I literally already finished mine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I just keep sipping because
I must not have had that. Mine was one sip.
it was an ounce.
Oh.
Because you know the bottom of the solo cup, the
Oh,
little
yeah.
ridge, that's an ounce.
Well, I'm a big sipper.
As I'm sipping my nice expensive rum from my red solo cup.
It's okay.
Let's have a party.
It's okay. It's
It's
summertime. And 2/3 of us are teachers, which means that we're off.
Hallelujah.
We're gonna try and record a ton of episodes, but I'm getting my tonsils out like a 6-year-old, so I won't be able to talk for a while. So I may just be here giving insightful whiteboard comments, and we'll just record it.
Or if we can just
do
get a
need-
shit ton of notes done and just record daily.
But I'm also on call next week again.
Next
But
week
she
is,
can't record.
Oh, next week's. I don't know dates.
no, next week is my surgery,
Yeah.
the 14th.
I just
The
couldn't
12th.
remember. See, I couldn't remember
I don't
what
know.
date your surgery was on, or like.
It's the 12th,
The
I
week.
think, which is coming up. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, so we have a couple days.
Yeah.
Regardless, they're gonna look like little testes in a jar, and I'm gonna ask him to save them for me so I can see them. He won't let me, but I'm gonna ask anyways. Be like, can I see them? He'll be like, that's medical waste, ma'am. And I'll be like, but it's my medical waste. I don't want to keep them. That's too far. I just want to
Yeah.
see them. He looked at my throat and he goes, oh, those are cryptic. And I was like, thank you. But then I now know that it is a medical term for wrinkly and gross. So, fun fact about tonsils.
Well, now that we have our appetites.
Speaking of
Teeth.
wrinkly, speaking of wrinkly, gross things attached to your throat, I am going to talk about. I am going to barely skim the surface. So, Indian food. So, India is a massive country with very distinct states in them, which each state has its own diverse culture, cuisine, language, religion. So main religions in India are Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam. All of those have dietary restrictions. A lot of people in India are strictly vegetarian if they are Hindu, because cows are sacred in Hinduism. If they're Muslim, they don't eat pork. If they are Christian, they can eat everything. So I've had completely vegan Indian food to full, cooked meats, everything. There's major diversity in cooking styles, from something like a tandoori, which is more like a grilled cooking, to obviously what is most famous in Western culture is curries, which when I say curry, it's like food in a sauce. It's essentially what curry is, because there are if you could eat it, you can make a curry from it. And depending on the area, so like seafood curries, lamb curries, chickpea curries, what we had today, which is aloo gobi, which is cauliflower and potato curry.
Which was delicious.
It's incredibly, incredibly diverse. So I made something that I really enjoy Indian food wise. Next time we do somewhere in India, I could do like a butter chicken or I love naan. And my friend Rupal actually gets me gluten-free naan from the Indian store. We have a pretty large Indian population here in our area, so we have Indian markets, which are great, so we can go and get actual Indian products. But what we are most known for, or what India is most known for, is their spices. There's a lot of old like aunties, and the joke is you can't have an Indian dish unless there's 100 different spices in it. I cannot get into the food culture. I mean, it is incredibly specific and incredibly diverse, and it would take years to study actual Indian cuisine. So we kind of skimmed and did Western, off the top Indian cuisine, food that we have easily accessible here. So aloo gobi is cauliflower and potato curry. With, a spice blend. So I use garlic, onions, and tomato and chilies to flavor it. I used a jalapeno because I couldn't find a green chili. Tomato and onion are traditional in this dish, but I saw a couple of like Western version recipes of it that didn't use that, which seems silly to me because why would you not put tomato and onion and everything?
Right. It's delicious.
But some of the spices that I use, I use pepper and Himalayan sea salt, of course, because I put that in everything. Then I use garlic powder. I use dried red chilies, ginger, turmeric, curry powder, which curry powder is already a blend that we have here. Like curry powder isn't, like there are curry leaves, which is something, but like curry is a spice blend in itself. Garam masala, which is another spice blend that's really common. Here, instead of like the aunties have each spice individually in these tins, and it's a whole collection, and they can just grab what they need. But here it's much more cost effective to buy the blends already made, and so that's what I did. But it was delicious. It was super easy, 100% vegan. I served it with basmati rice, which is really the only kind of rice I eat. It's a long grain soft rice from India. It's really fragrant. It's delicious. We eat it for dinner at least twice a week. We're big rice people, and I love, if I'm gonna do a short grain, I'm gonna do a Japanese rice. If I'm gonna do a long grain, I'm gonna do an Indian rice, and that's just because it's some of the best products you can get.
Oh yeah.
And you serve it with fresh coriander, which is British for
for cilantro.
For cilantro. So Carrie can have the cilantro, but it really does add like a nice pop of color. One of the Western, roll my eyes, issues with Indian food is that it doesn't quote unquote look as pretty because a lot of it is combined, or that it's too spicy. But Indian food isn't like you can make Indian food all Indian food is spicy in the fact that it has a lot of spices, but it doesn't have to be like heat hot. Yes, and a lot of Asian food I think is like that, and India is part of Asia. I know that's surprising for a lot of people because for some reason a lot of people don't seem to realize that. But so there's different kinds of like heat in your food, but you can have curry that literally will melt your face off, and then you can have like a really gentle curry. But I love it. They don't have a ton of sweets, and the sweets that they do tend to have like rose water, cardamom. Bruh, if it's a dessert from India, it either has mango, coconut, or cardamom.
Yep.
Flavors that I really enjoy. I love Indian food, and I'll pretty much eat anything that you give me from India because a lot of the foods I'm questionable with, like mushrooms or like certain meats, are just not there because they don't eat them. So it's wonderful for me, so I can literally just like enjoy everything. And then even the different kinds of breads, and it's so complex, and I'm sure Brie will talk a little bit more about like the diversity in India, and I'll talk more about it in my story as well. But like India is really interesting because it's super diverse, but it has different like biological ethnic groups that are in the state. So it's not like in America where almost all of us are immigrants from different generations amounts. So like we have Southern cooking, we have the Pacific West Coast cooking, we have the Northeast cooking, right? So we have diverse different groups, but they have literal different ethnic groups in these areas. So it's like multiple countries inside of a country. It's fascinating, but
I actually don't talk about that. So I did in my research, which I'll talk about why I had issues with my research when we get to my section.
And we have drinks. Can you go get the rum from the kitchen? Per favore.
why don't you tell us what you thought of the food since we just finished that section?
It's pretty rock solid, man. That one goes you.
Gracias.
This one
Oh my god.
should be
The bubbles are like a hug from a friend.
the rum.
Yes.
Why is the rum always gone?
Why is the rum gone? What about Paul? I have a fruit rum. Rum's making Paul.
Man, I'm disappointed with our lack of pirates jokes.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get there. I haven't had enough rum yet.
I just realized Catherine guest appeared on my podcast today.
Aw.
Yelling at the screen.
Thank you. Yes.
Rum.
His podcast,
I'll set it
yelling
up.
at the screen.
Ah.
They watched a movie in Mandarin
Ooh.
from the 80s called The Seventh Curse, and it was an absolute wild ride. And I watched it, and now I'm scarred because there's a Voldemort demon that eats people.
Oh, you know.
Oh, we might talk about something like that.
Bruh?
Minus the eating people bit.
Oh, well, that's the fun part. Go ahead, Brie.
Oh.
As we prep our drinks, so if you hear things that sound like peeing, it's just us putting rum into our fountain drinks.
How much should I pour in here?
Follow your heart as to how much rum.
I better drink some
That's
Dr.
a Catherine Collin response if ever I heard one.
Yep. That's my response to everything. When I cooked today, I followed my heart. I was silly and looked up a recipe.
Gulp.
Gulp, 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 gulp.
I haven't had Dr. Pepper in so long. We're just gonna pour this in.
It's summertime.
But yeah, I don't really talk about the diversity. Like, I read...
I'll talk more about the, sorry, I learned about science this week, guys.
It just literally said, like, it is a very diverse place. But also, I had a lot of difficulty researching this one, guys, because everything that fucking came up... Oops, sorry, I'll have to put that out. Everything...
Oh, we're trying to redo our image. We're trying to be classier. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's gonna be a struggle.
No shame. Some shame.
I have no
A
shame,
small amount of
so-
shame. I have a small amount of shame.
There's a...
Thank
there's
you
a
to
shame
all of my
available.
former students who are boosting our numbers. I'm doing this for you. I'm trying to be a good influence.
My
Do
kids
your
aren't there
homework.
yet.
Don't drink until you're 21. Don't ever drink and drive. We are in a safe environment with a DD. Be good.
Mm-hmm.
But
And I'm a grown up. So, ha.
we've earned it.
I turned 26. Leave me alone.
I'm almost 30. Leave me alone.
But no, in my research, you want to know what kept coming up? Freaking Bangalore from Apex Legends.
He's kind of rad, though.
Yeah.
Killed me though. I had a hard time finding anything, which like
Apex Legends does a great job of diversity, though. So
Yeah.
if I watch my husband play, it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I like when there's a new character, the legend, when there's a new legend, I'm like, fascinating. Give me the information because it's really cool. They all have like different accents and stuff, but Bangalore is Indian.
Yeah.
The only thing I know about it is from that one time we went to Jack and Daisy's or whatever, and the boys were playing, and then also on Colin and Jack and Caleb's podcast, Yelling at the Screen.
Yeah, we were gonna get there. He's so
know.
rude.
I know.
We were getting there, babe. Okay.
They,
So sweaty.
ew. They talked.
That's what I did.
They talked about it, and I think they even like casted
Yes.
the characters.
Yeah, they did a project because I helped Colin with it. It was really fun. I love fictionally casting
Yeah.
movies and
It was
shit.
interesting.
And stuff.
It'd be a real struggle.
I drink literally probably 8 ounces of rum and
Oh, yeah. Well,
my 44-ounce Diet Coke, both of which are not good for me, but here I go.
and Bree's laughing at me because I'm over here so sweaty.
Yeah, your house is toasty, Carrie.
I know.
I remember this is why we recorded ours. Alcohol, and it's like you're being eco-friendly, but your girl cannot handle it.
So,
And curry,
here goes nothing.
we had
Oh,
curry and alcohol, and it's like 80,000 degrees.
Yep. And I've been cooking all day. Just, it's a lot.
I refuse. I'm loving I feel incredible. I feel empowered.
Before Bangalore was called Bengaluru in the local dialect, it was known as Bengalvaluru, meaning City of Guards. However,
Cool.
there's another story that says the name dates back to the 12th century and came from Hoysala Kinvira Balala, who got lost in a forest and was fed boiled beans by an old woman who stumbled upon him, I guess. So he named the place Benda Kal Uru, land of boiled or cooked beans, which
I love
morphed
beans.
into
Okay.
Bengaluru over time.
You know, we talk about legumes on here a lot. I'm a fan. I almost made curried lentils because lentils are really popular.
Mm-hmm.
And I love lentils.
Modern day Bangalore was founded by local chief Kemp Gowda when a settlement around a mud fort was established in 1537, later to be reconstructed with stone in 1761. Bangalore was originally the capital of Mysore state until the latter half of the 20th century when Karnataka was formed and then became the capital of Karnataka. So Bangalore served as headquarters to the British administration for 50 years from 1831 until 1881 when the Raja was restored.
Ooh, are we going to get into colonialism?
No.
Okay, we understand that it happened and how tragic it was. It is an incredibly intense conversation. We are not glossing over it because we are pretending it did not happen. We are skipping over it because it is literally an entire history course.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So we're acknowledging it right now. Continue.
No, that's seriously why I left it out though, because I was like, there's not enough time to do it.
It is a, like, India's just, like, old, and they, like, kept a ton of records and stuff, so there's, like, so much history. Like, it's impossible to go through.
Mm-hmm. Even struggling to find stuff because of Apex Legends, I still have...
Yeah, Bangalore is also a city that doesn't have near as much as other cities.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
We were trying to be adventurous, but we'll probably do, like, Mumbai or something later that will have just gallons of information.
Yeah. But Britain still had a military and administrative presence there until 1947 when India gained its independence. And that's all I say about that.
Yeah.
India is free. Moving on.
Yeah. People started immigrating to Bangalore in droves starting in the 1950s after heavy investment in education and the public sector.
Good.
And it became one of the largest cities in India when job opportunities for tens of thousands of people started opening up in southern India. Prior to the 90s, Bangalore's economic growth was based mainly on the manufacturing industries, but early in that last decade, the information and communications technology sector, or ICT, started growing rapidly thanks in large part to a stronger education system and the new national economic liberalization policies, which led the way to Bangalore becoming a national and global center for information and communications technology. And because of this growing IT sector and all of the startups, Bangalore became known as the Silicon Valley of India, with over 200 software companies just in the heart of Bangalore alone.
Dang.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The city also boasts the highest number of engineers in the world, playing host to more than 1 million IT pros.
Wow.
I dated quite a few Indian engineers.
Anyway.
Guys, a lot of first dates. You guys were cool.
It's not all tech. Due to the number of beautifully maintained parks and gardens in Bangalore, the city was given the title City of Gardens. So if you're looking for a potentially romantic setting where you can literally smell romance in the air by way of the beautiful and fragrant flora all around, try visiting places such as Lal Bagh and Cubbon Park. And not to be outdone by all of the pretty flowers, Bangalore is famously known for its number of lakes. Having 25 known lakes within the city, Bangalore is
Wow.
also called the City of Lakes.
Wow.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
So my question is, are they all natural lakes?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I think they're working on...
Well, because southern India is like tropical, right?
Yeah.
Because India, speaking of diversity, their climate zones
Oh, yeah.
are
I'll talk about the
hugely.
climate, too.
Yeah, my God.
Just a little bit. But,
Monsoons.
Oh yeah.
But I think I read they were working on, at least at the time of this article, potentially, I think it was potentially making more man-made lakes because they don't get enough rainfall per year, and they don't, like, their water supply is like their rivers and lakes,
Right.
and so like they don't have enough.
Well, I
Got it.
know in Texas we only have one natural lake.
Yeah, the rest are all man-made.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure to answer that question, but I think they're working on making more, if I remember correctly. So for those of you considering visiting, wow, words are hard. But Bangalore has summers that average in the low to mid 90s, and that's Fahrenheit because we don't know how to do things.
I'm
like
using
everyone else.
kilometers in my measurements
Well,
because I'm a
la-di-da.
scientist.
I don't remember because I did these notes like 2 months ago.
They also have mild winters that usually don't get below 60 degrees, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Not here for it.
I'll see you guys in the Himalayas.
However, it only gets about 36 inches of rainfall annually, which unfortunately has proven inadequate as a water supply for the ever-growing population and industry. Most of Bangalore's water comes from the Kaveri River, approximately 45 miles south, but the government has been or is working on projects to reuse water, like I said, and to create more reservoir lakes within the city. So yeah, they're gonna be man-made when they make more of it, obviously. In terms of planes, trains, and automobiles, Bangalore's got you covered. Situated along the major highways and rail system, it's connected by major roads with Mumbai, Chennai, and Kerala state. Its regional rail hub has lines in all directions, and there's also the Kempegowda International Airport, Bengaluru. The city also has taxis and rickshaws as well as a fairly extensive network of buses and the rapid transit commuter rail system to meet all your travel needs. However, keep in mind that Bangalore does have a pretty serious population, and I think I read somewhere that it was like 12 million plus people as of the date of this article.
Yeah, Indian cities are crazy. I was told by friends from there, like, if you travel, do not, like, you have to figure out how to use the train system because it is wildly populated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people literally hanging onto the outside of the train to get places where they need to go.
Yeah. Well, and I was gonna say, so just keep that in mind when traveling, because there's gonna be a lot of people on the roads, so, and like everywhere. So this is actually really sad. Although Bangalore is a nice place to live, from what I've read, it doesn't stop people from taking their own lives. And the National Crime Records Bureau shows 35 suicides per 100,000 people in Bangalore. So it's also called the suicide capital of India.
That's
which
awful.
is
Well, a lot of high pressure, high tech jobs.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That tends to be a contributing factor, but that's very sad.
Yep. On to more happy fun facts. There's a ledger found in a book that they released on the 125th anniversary of the club states, that the former UK Prime Minister Winston Churchill owes 13 rupees as a part of the unpaid bills at the club. And the Bangalore Club is considered to be one of like the most elite clubs in the country, and it was started in 1868 by a group of British officers. So Churchill owes them some money.
How much is 13 rupees in American dollars?
Not much.
Not much
I know.
at all. So the police force there is regarded as the second best in India. New Delhi police force is considered the best. They also have the maximum number of breweries in the world.
What?
I have a quote saying, no one parties like the people in Bangalore do.
So 13 rupees is 18 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it literally isn't shit.
Yeah.
It has over 800 pubs and bars, and it's called the pub capital of India. Like, it has so many different names. Like,
It's a happening place.
yeah.
It is.
And it's also the only Indian city that has the most number of worship houses for Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, and Christians. And it has more than 1,000 temples, 100 churches, 3 gurudwaras, 400 mosques, 2 Buddhist viharas, and fire temple. So
Oh, for Zoroastrians, which is like the ancient religion of like Persia and India.
Mm-hmm.
I know I saw something else. There was like a whole list, and there's like a bunch of different ones. Like I don't.
Well, and
remember all of
Jainism
them.
is based off of Hinduism. Yeah.
It's like Hinduism, then the second is like Jainism. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I don't remember the whole list because, like you said, it's
It's extremely diverse.
Yeah.
I don't know how I know so much about it. I did like a project on it in middle school, and I remember a lot for some weird reason. Thank you, geography class in 7th grade or whatever.
It's also well known for its underground music scene. So they got a
Bruh.
ton of local bands that perform. They've got an accessible location for international music festivals. And
Is this the
concerts.
Austin of India?
Basically.
I guess it's also called the rock/metal capital of India.
Bro,
Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's rad.
yeah. And then that place I mentioned earlier with the gardens, Lal Bag, that's one of like the major tourist spots, I guess, because it has one of the oldest rock formations in the country, and they call it the Peninsular Gneiss, Gneiss. It's made up of rocks that are 3,000 million years old. That's probably not written right, but it literally has the number 3,000, and then it says the word million, so I'm not
3
entirely-
billion?
Yeah.
It's an old rock.
It's old ass rock.
They roll old.
Sorry, guys. So geological monument there. And then they also have the Maharaja of Mysore's palace, the Mysore Government Museum from 1866, and Tipu Sultan's fort and palace. And then the scenic spots. They also have the botanical garden, which was laid out in the 18th century.
Of course it was.
And
If it has the word botanical in it, it was laid out in the 18th century.
And then Coven Park, which was the other one I mentioned earlier with all the pretty flowers. It has a garden with a lake, a library, and an aquarium.
I would never leave.
I know.
That is the basics.
Yeah.
Those are literally 3 of my favorite things.
Yeah. I was like, including
I
this.
love the aquarium.
Yes.
And
I
then
love them.
They also
Can we
have.
go soon?
Yes,
Here.
I love the aquarium.
I haven't been since I was in middle school.
I was this year. I went to the
I've
aquarium.
gone, since I moved back, I've been to the aquarium probably every single year.
We went to the one in Seattle this year too.
Oh, I just meant just the Dallas Aquarium.
The Dallas Aquarium isn't great.
I think that's where I went. And
It's okay. It's just not as much fish. It's like partially a zoo as
that's
well.
okay. That is the one I've
And
gone
like
to.
I
That's part of what I like.
I love fish,
They have
bro.
sloth.
They do have sloth.
That's part of what I love.
I've been. Oh my god, I've been to so many aquariums. I love fish. Okay, continue. I'm gonna be calling it me a fish tank.
Do it.
Okay.
Wait, you have a baby fish tank?
Yeah, but that's just Sullivan. He has to be by himself because him a fighter.
He aggressive.
Then there's also Nandy Hills, which makes me think of Wine and Crime page and
Dr. Nandy.
But
Shout out Wine and Crime. Be our friends.
please. It's Nandigunda. It's a hill station summer resort 38 miles north, and it's a
Sounds
site
nice.
of 2 temples dedicated to the Hindu god Shiva.
Cool.
Plus.
Yeah. So
He's an important one.
Mm-hmm.
pretty major.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Hinduism is that they're all pretty major. It's amazing.
That's fair. That's fair.
My Hindu friends, I'm like, how many are there? They're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot. And I'm like, that is a religion I can get behind. You're just like, there's a lot, okay? Respect.
A lot of my lore is actually like
Hindu.
yeah, but so and when I do this for lore guys, I don't mean it to be insulting, like to be like, oh, it's fake. Like it's just the stories
Mm-hmm.
are part of
The culture.
yeah. So I don't mean it to be like it's not real.
I'll talk about Hinduism too.
Okay, so but before
I
I,
don't
do
remember.
that, to start my lore section, I couldn't help myself because this seems to be one of our recurring themes. I'll just do a little bit of a blurb on this section though, because I can't even remember how far it is from Bangalore. But there's the White Lady of Sanjay Van.
Yes, I saw this, but it's too far for me.
Oh, see, I didn't. It was like a last minute thing. I didn't
Yeah.
even Google to see how far away it was because I forgot. But there's a
It's okay.
forested area outside of Delhi, and it's known for.
Oh, that's far.
Yeah, I fixed the Delhi bit. I was like looking at the Sanjay Van thing, but yeah.
Not as far as me.
Yeah. It's known for the old and winding banyan trees, and
Oh.
hikers reported seeing a woman draped in white walking among the banyan trees before she
Which in
disappears.
Hinduism white is for death.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that's literally all I have on it, but I had to mention it because that's kind of our thing.
We also have like 3 more in mind.
Cool. Okay.
We got lots of les dents blanches. Les
And
dents
they're
blanches.
because I feel like black
Okay.
is a mourning color for Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
but white is for Hinduism. So I think it makes
and a
more
lot
sense.
of other-
Yeah.
And most other
Yeah,
religions.
Yeah. The next one will sound familiar to Catherine. The Garuda! So, he's the winged beast in Indian mythology. Him and his mother were enslaved by snakes, and in order to get free,
I mean, that sucks.
Yeah.
the Garuda had to go to Indra's kingdom and steal the Amrit? I don't know. So he did, but he had to battle all of Indra's might to do this, I guess. So he fought this god thing person. And him and his mother got free. So Vishnu asked the Garuda to prevent the snakes from drinking the Amrit, and just when they were about to do it, the Garuda asked the snakes to clean up first. So while they were cleaning themselves up, Indra attacked Garuda and tried to reclaim the Amrit, and the Garuda managed to smash Indra's thunderbolts, but he couldn't keep the Amrit. But a few drops of the Amrit fell on the ground, and the snakes licked it. So it was so strong that it burnt their tongues, and that's the reason snakes have forked tongues.
Huh.
You lost me there until that last bit, but continue.
It was just a bunch of fighting back and forth.
Okay.
Over the Amrit thing that I'm probably mispronouncing.
Is it like an alcohol?
I think
A liquor?
it's a liquid of some sort. I don't know.
Okay.
It's really strong. I don't know.
It's, yeah, apparently.
So the snake around Shiva's neck, there's a bunch of stories revolving around this. But the most popular one says when the cosmic oceans were being churned, the poison produced by it was also consumed by snakes, along with Shiva himself. So Shiva, because he was so impressed by this, decided to accept the Vasuki, the king of snakes, around his neck. And it's also said that the snake helps to keep the poison in Shiva's throat and not let it slide down to the rest of his body. And it says that the 3 coils of the snake around Shiva's neck represent past, present, and future, and the direction of its hood is pointing to the right, which signifies Shiva's perpetual laws of reason and justice, preserving natural order in the universe.
I approve.
There's a lot of snakes in India
Yep.
that are like super baddie. Little baddies.
Little baddies. There's also Kamadhenu. She's the mother of all cows.
Oh, she's
Aw.
super important.
Yeah. Also known as Sarabi.
Yeah, mother
It's
figure.
believed that the cow came into being during the journey of the cosmic oceans and was presented to the 7 sages by the gods. And every part of the cow's body has some type of religious symbolism. The 4 legs symbolize the 4 Vedas. The horns symbolize the gods. Its face symbolizes the sun and the moon. The breasts symbolize the 4 Purusharthas. I'm so sorry. And its shoulders symbolize fire. And it's believed that it grants all the desires of its owner, and it's known as the cow of plenty. And then Nandi, Kamadhenu, the mother of all cows, started giving birth to a ton of calves, and so all of their milk flooded Shiva's living space, and it disturbed his meditation, and so it got mad.
Got milk? My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Yeah, Shiva wasn't having it, okay?
Oh no, Shiva.
He struck the cow.
She's
with
a busy mom.
fire from his 3rd eye.
That's rude.
That
That
was
is
not
rude.
nice.
No.
And so to calm him down, the gods offered him a magnificent bull, Nandi, the son of Kasyapa and Kamadhenu, the mother of all cows. Alright, so Aravat is, it was born when Brahma sang the 7 sacred hymns over the 2 halves of the eggshell that the Garuda hatched from. And it's also the reason behind the myth that the elephants can bring clouds. And according to a legend, when Vritrasur was defeated by Indra, Vritrasur was the demon of drought. He was defeated by Indra. The elephant Aravata reached down into the water-filled underworld with his trunk and sprayed the water into the clouds.
Aw.
And then Indra made the clouds rain upon the drought-stricken lands.
Aw, that's cute.
And Narasimha?
What was that?
I don't know. It's a lion and a man, okay?
Okay.
I just assume it's in Hindi, but there's so many languages, I can't even begin to understand any of it. But
Yeah,
I know a lot of Bollywood songs.
I think all of this is
Hindi.
Yeah. So there was a king, Hiranyakasipu, aka the Demon King. Let's just call him the Demon King.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
He was blessed by Lord Brahma, and he wished that death came to him not in the morning or the night, not by the hand of man or beast, and neither inside nor outside his house, and his wish was granted. One day, he called everyone to court and proclaimed that he would be their only god moving forward on pain of death. He ordered all of their other idols be destroyed in both the people's homes and the temples, and that his be the only name they praise as God. Everyone obeyed out of fear except for one, and that was the king's very own son, Prahalada, which I also saw as Prahlad. I'm not sure.
I think a lot of people have multiple names as well.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with Prahlad because it's easier. So his grandmother caught him praying to the god Narayana after Prahlad's father had made his proclamation, and she beseeched him to stop his prayers and only speak his father's name as God moving forward. But Prahlad refused because he'd only ever known Narayana as God. His mother, who had died shortly after giving birth to him, read all the scriptures to him while he was still in her womb and had prayed to Narayana devotedly for the protection of her son, especially against his evil father with his demonic qualities. And one day, Prahlad's mother had a dream in which the god Narayana came to her, reassuring her he would protect her son, for he had been blessed by the god.
Aw.
Eventually, the king called all of his guards and asked if his orders had been implemented, and the guards said they had, but for one person who was still heard praying to the god Narayana. The king was furious and demanded to know who it was, so the guards told him the prayers had been heard coming from the king's palace. Enraged, the king demanded they search until they found the person who dismissed his ruling. So the guards brought the king's very own son before him. The king demanded his son recognize him and only him as God, but Prahlad refused, saying Narayana was his true God. The king tried getting new teachers to, quote-unquote, make his son think right, but that didn't work, so the king moved on to poisoning his own son, but the poison didn't kill Prahlad. The king beseeched his son...
You can't kill me.
The king beseeched his son to even once acknowledge that he was his god, but Prahlad stood firm. And this is like a child.
Like a baby? Like an 8-year-old child?
I was thinking, based on what I was reading, I don't know, I don't think it gave me the actual age, but based on what I was reading, I was thinking he was like 8-ish
Dang.
child. But he stood firm against his father, the king. So the king had his son thrown down the mountains. Luckily for Prahlad, he didn't get a single scratch and still would not acknowledge his father as God. Furious, the king ordered his son to be trampled by elephants. The people of the kingdom were enraged and bore hate in their hearts for their king, but they had nothing to fear, for when the elephants came before Prahlad, they all simply blessed him with their uplifted trunks as they each passed him.
That's another thing. I have like a couple little trinkets, and the trunk up is a symbol of good luck in India, and a trunk down is bad luck. So whenever you buy anything with an elephant on it, you should make sure the trunk is pointing up.
Prahlad then thanked his father for showing him the power of his god, Narayan, which cracks me up because this could be seen as rubbing salt in the wound. Anyway, the king threw a fit and essentially started making a mockery of Narayana, asking where Prahlad's god was and was he in the pillar that was standing next to them, before striking the pillar with his sword. Like a child. To everyone's surprise, Narayana
He was like, yeah.
did come out in the form of Narasimha, which is how we get there, with the body of a man and the face of a lion, and he killed the king, which he was able to do because it was neither day nor night, but twilight, and Narayana was neither man nor beast, but a god, and in that form he was both man and beast. So, Narasimha told Prahlad to ask for whatever he wanted, and Prahlad, being the good guy he was, asked for his father to be forgiven. His request was granted, and when Prahlad became king, he was known as the kindest and most just rulers of his time.
That's interesting. That the kindness. Because, like, a lot of time when kings are revered, it's, like, the mightiest or the bravest, and he's known as the kindest, which I think is really interesting. Because that's not... I mean, noble is the closest thing you get to kind.
Yeah. And then there's Sharabha. So, after Narasimha killed that Demon King guy, he was still pissed off. And everyone tried to calm him down. Prahlad was sent by Brahma, and all of his efforts were in vain. So, frightened, the gods went to Shiva for help in calming Vishnu. And Shiva then appeared as Sharabha, which is said to be a giant, frightening, cannibal bird form.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
So he scratched Narashima, I don't know if that's right, Simha, I think it auto-corrected, with its wings and carried him off into the distance. Into the unknown. Sheshnag. There
Hinduism is
there are a
complex.
couple A's in there. Had 1,000 brothers
That's too many.
who made
That's
a
a
lot
lot.
of trouble.
I'm sure they did.
So it's said to be the serpent with 1,000 heads that keeps the earth stable. So, yeah, tired of living with all those brothers, he left his home and went to the Himalayas. He started meditating and observed strict penances for his brother's acts. Impressed, Brahma offered
I'm
him
on my brother's keeper!
Brahma offered him a boon, but he only asked to be a servant of spirituality. So Brahma asked him to coil around the earth and hold it steady, which he did. And it said that when Sheshnag coils forward, creation happens, and when it coils backwards, the universe ceases to exist.
Well, let's hope he keeps going one way.
Right? The Navagunhara, made from 9 animals, has the head of a rooster. It stood on 3 feet.
This
Each
is
one,
not a practical
each
animal.
one was different. One was an elephant, one was a tiger, and one was like a deer or a horse.
This is not practical.
The 4th limb was a raised human arm carrying a lotus.
It just always has a lotus, so it can't do anything. It's just like, here I am.
It had the neck of a peacock, the hump of a camel, the waist of a lion, and the tail of a serpent.
God, this thing's ugly.
I
I'm so sorry, but that is an ugly looking dude right there. Just
So-
him. Look at my flower.
Krishna actually used this form, like assumed this form, when he went to meet Arjuna in the forest. And at first Arjuna
I feel like
wanted
Krishna
to
could do
shoot
better.
it with the bow and arrow.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying.
But he paused to like understand what the heck was going on there. Like, what is this? And he's like, how do you even exist? What? And then he realized it must be Krishna
A god,
testing
yeah.
him. Yeah. So he bowed his head and sought blessings from Krishna.
Oh.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Thinking things through. I like it.
And my last one is Timingila. So it's a really, really big aquatic creature that's named
Yes.
that's mentioned in the Mahabharata. It is known to be the greatest predator that's ever lived in the oceans. It's so big.
Megalodon!
I was gonna say that's why I included it because I wanted to make a megalodon reference.
Megalodon!
So it's supposed to be so big that it could actually swallow whales whole.
It's literally a megalodon.
Yeah. So
Leviathan!
yeah, and it said that when the
It's the Leviathan!
Did I tell you guys about that one time on my like British Scottish history upper level course? It was a Leviathan question, and I like blanked for some reason. It was a night class, and I was tired, and so I wrote about the sea creature. And she's like, "Are you like testing me?" I'm like, "Give me points for like creativity or something." I wrote something. But the Timingila could cause turbulence in the entire ocean whenever it is hunting for prey.
That's
Oh.
so scary.
That's terrifying.
And you know what's even crazier?
we don't know.
It could be there.
Yeah,
we just don't know.
Like a tenth of what is.
I love aquariums. I wonder if he's in one.
I mean, he probably wouldn't fit in one.
No,
It's just the whole world is his aquarium.
that's terrifying.
That
On that terrifying note, spooks.
spooks. So, as we've learned, Nita's currently walking in front of a microphone because she wants to snuggle again.
She said, "I don't give a what you're doing. This is my spot."
But as we learned from previous, primarily non-English speaking countries, I tend to have. Oh yeah, pour yourself some.
Oh, I'm going to. I need to drink more before I can pour stuff in, though.
Yeah, we did some damage to that bottle already.
I'm feeling it. I'm very comfortable.
But I couldn't go super in depth with one story, so I have 3 for us today. Our first is the Taravera House, built in 1943 by an Anglo-Indian lawyer named Ej Voss. He ended up gifting the house to his 2 spinster daughters,
Don't hate.
Vera and Dolce Voss. Vera was an English tutor, and Dolce was a piano instructor. The daughters lived in the house until 2002.
These daughters sound rad.
Right? Like,
It's Vera Wang and Dolce & Gabbana.
right. The daughters lived in the house until 2002, so about 60 years after it was built. When Dolce, the younger sister who was 75 at the time, was stabbed to death one evening after midnight in front of her sister Vera by an unknown assailant who quickly fled the scene.
They're old. You can't stab old people.
What?
Yeah.
That's sad.
Well,
Old people murders, like geriatric murders, whatever you call them, it's like child murder. Like, you don't
Yeah.
get
right.
to do that.
I just.
yeah.
Oh.
It was hard reading this. They buried Dolce in the house, and soon after...
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's a no-no.
And they buried, so are they Christian?
It didn't say, it just said
Okay, probably.
an Anglo...
Always
Indian,
iron, salt,
some
and
is-
earth.
So probably
Christian.
Christian, yeah, because most other religions do not
No.
bury. They're either like in the river or cremation or like even sky burials,
Yeah.
which are kind of rad.
Wait,
Yeah.
sorry. I know you saw it. Did you see the thing on Pinterest that I sent you where you can have your ashes made into a custom record? And so part of my body is going to be in that, and the other part's going to be the tree thing.
Oh, I want to be pressed into a gemstone.
I want to be a record.
I'm gonna be dead, so I don't really care.
I want to be passed from generation to generation. Be like, here's your grandma.
That sounds like a way to haunt someone.
Isn't that the point?
Yeah.
You are the chosen one.
Here's this
And each
ruby.
generation.
It's grandma, and she will haunt you at night. Have fun.
She's going to be a ruby. Or
Yeah.
an emerald.
Oh, yeah.
Scary.
Okay, so Dolce was buried in the house, and soon after, Vera moved due to a property issue. One source said the police asked her to move for her safety, since her sister was just killed in that
Oh,
house.
she probably couldn't stay there.
Yeah, but they, in any case of whatever happened, you stir that.
Sorry.
Get it real good.
I might need to
The
add more. I have to do a taste test.
The sound of summer.
ASMR by Darkside Tour Guides.
Can we please do that word I can't say in giggles?
I've done ASMR Cytomins, so
I know,
I'm pretty much already
cut them
there.
all together and
Just-
Oh yeah.
It's just like
Get all of our bloopers.
It's just like glug 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 glug
Oh
glug.
no, not all our bloopers.
Our bloopers are-
paid content because that's not.
Our bloopers go into a vault, and if you pay us $1 million, you can listen to how funny
Dr.
they are.
Evil. We're doing a Dr. Evil.
I mean,
1 million. He thinks it's so much. Sorry.
you can sponsor a tonsil.
Sponsor Oh my god. We're keeping it. Sponsor a tonsil. Can we name whenever we get a merch site? Can we name it the Sponsor the Tonsil?
Yeah. Sponsor a tonsil. I need to get them out, so.
Oh goodness. Anyway, so in any case, she had to leave the house, and she literally just left everything.
I poured a lot in.
Good. Get to catch up.
It's summertime.
But yes, they left everything, the furniture, and even their vintage car.
Bro, these ladies were rad.
Oh yeah.
I've said rad 8 times. I apologize, everyone. It's my husband's fault. Apparently he's a dude bro, and I'm gonna smack him when we're done.
A dude bro working on a man bun.
Oh yeah.
Okay, the man bun was my idea. So don't knock it.
I'm not knocking it, just saying.
Yeah. But after Vera left, it just remained untouched. No one wanted to move into the house. because they knew what happened.
Because an old lady was stabbed there.
Right, because this was just in 2002.
Yikes.
Which feels like it should be, 5 years ago and not almost 20 years ago.
What? As someone who is a scientist for this week, I'm pretty sure that math is wrong. There's no way. I feel so old.
Yeah.
Grace was born in 2002, so yeah, I guess.
Oh my gosh.
Yikes.
Anyway, those who have gone to the house at any time of day have heard faint piano music playing.
Ooh, I love a spooky
Because if you
show
remember, Dolce, the sister who was stabbed, was a piano teacher.
Aww.
I love spooky show tunes.
They saw a silhouette near the window, and those who dared to go in felt unexplained cold spots in rooms. They would hear blood-curdling screams.
Oh, that's sad.
It is.
So, Catherine sang my bit that I always sing whenever you do your phantom bits. But it was perfect this time. And so that one popped into my head. And then also, I see you through your window. As I'm standing on a tree outside.
I love that movie.
Pacing back and forth like a maniac.
Can we watch She's the Man after this?
I'm down with it. I have it memorized and I quote it all the time.
Yes, it's
Sorry.
one of my favorites. Blood curdling screams. Oh,
Casual. La 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 la. Where was I?
Yes.
and then they would see inverted crosses and headless statues of Mary and Jesus.
Okay, so definitely Christian.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's been well over a month since I wrote these, so I don't remember what's in them. It's a surprise to me, too.
Sometimes that's the best.
Yeah. So, those who have tried to capture activity on film have discovered that all of their footage or photographs were corrupt when they went back to look at them, or their battery had suddenly died.
Yeah, she's old. She doesn't want to be seen like this.
Girl, I get it. I don't like my picture taken either.
I know. Paparazzi, please.
So in February 2014, the house was demolished due to being abandoned and famously haunted. Therefore, scoundrels would probably go fuck shit. Scoundrels would. I couldn't say that.
Vandalize.
Yes, there we go.
Those vagabonds.
However, that did not disperse the negative energy that radiates from the property.
She said,
She buried there, was she?
She is buried there. People will still experience paranormal activity near where the house stood.
yeah, well, she's in the ground.
Yep.
Salt and burn. Salt and burn.
Amen. All right, so that was the Taravera house. Up next, we have the Victoria Hospital, which is located in the hub of Bangalore near the city market. The hospital has been active since December 8th, 1900, and is now the second largest hospital in India. I think December 8th is Zach's dog's birthday.
Happy birthday, Charlemagne.
Yeah.
I love that name so much.
The hospital is still up and running today, and it's a teaching hospital attached to the Bangalore Medical College and Research Institute, which is one of the top medical colleges in India.
And I left that out.
Yeah, so obviously people have died here because it's a hospital.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's unavoidable.
Right. However, spooky occurrences didn't start until a couple years ago. There is the spirit of a woman who died in the hospital a few decades ago who was seen in a white sari. Le Dame Blanche. Who was seen
I have a
lurking.
black sari.
I really want a song.
One of my students, it was one of my students' grandmothers, and when we did a Bollywood Midsummer Night's Dream, her mom gave it to me from India
Amazing.
for me to wear. So I have a
love
sari
how
that's
they
like
even
fun.
gave it to you in black.
They said, we figured you'd like this one the best. I was like,
I have a purple one, and I thought it was in here.
I want a sorry. I also want a dirndl.
yes. Well, I already have like a real kimono.
I was gonna say I want kimonos.
I'm just like, I love, so like clothes are in, like, not like modern fashion, but like historical and cultural fashion's important to me. So like I'm literally collecting
Oh yeah,
clothing from around the world, and I love it.
If I could
my mom used
just,
to pick them up for me.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
If I could just make historical clothing, like pieces, for like and get paid, I'd be happy.
I still need to get my Renaissance costume.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we should order it tonight.
Yes. I'll get drunk and drop $300 on leather.
Oof, your girl loves some leather.
Minky face.
It's dragon leather, though.
Anyway, white sari. She is seen lurking through the trees on property, and her shadow is seen in the bushes.
Keeping comment.
Well, we like her, though.
Oh, I'm not saying. Well, yeah, negative connotations around that, so fair. But I like her.
She's a foodie.
Queen.
On several occasions, people have had food mysteriously stolen from them.
Yes.
Oh my god, she's perfect.
And food packets have gone missing. People will leave out food for her, and when they go to check, the food is gone.
It's like for the fairy.
Or
Yeah.
Santa.
Oh.
There's also been activity in the hospital itself, because remember, she was outside, and she'll just, like, cause mischief. But obviously, the morgue would have some interesting happenings. They didn't go into detail with said happenings, so I'm assuming that they're probably pretty...
Make the bodies dance, baby.
But also, if you're going to have ghosts in a hospital, it would be in the morgue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially right now. Poor India is getting hit hard with COVID.
I know.
As someone who's fully vaccinated, send them my love.
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially with so many people, like we talked about.
Oh, we knew it was going to happen, and it did, and it's devastating.
It's hard, like, and so, especially in a place like that, like it's so hard when it has so many people in such close quarters all the time, because there's so many people.
Dense population.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of activity in the morgue. Didn't go into it. Obviously haunted for reasons.
Sure.
All
the basics.
Yeah. Well, the last spirit in the hospital was another woman who is just loudly crying and roaming the hallways, which is sad.
Was she older? Or?
It didn't say. It just said a woman would roam the hallways crying. All right, and then our final haunted place took me by surprise, and I had to like validate that it was one because it's Bangalore's Kempegowda International Airport.
Oh yeah, I saw stuff about that.
Yeah. So it was literally the hottest spot for paranormal activity in Bangalore in all of my research. And
Interesting.
Yeah, it was wild. Especially because the airport opened in 2008.
Yeah.
I meant airports, there's a lot of trauma.
Right.
And a lot of people. So.
Yeah. Well, and like the architecture is stunning. It's really cool. But it was haunted pretty much from the start. Within its first year, a pilot saw a woman in a white sari, our third La Dame Blanche, running on the runway, and she asked them for help. When the pilot approached her, she vanished. Many thought that the encounter was fake until the infrared camera at the airport confirmed the apparition.
Ooh.
Yikes.
So this wasn't the only occurrence. Many of the pilots, taxi drivers, and passengers have also seen this woman.
That is a very dangerous place to be seeing it, like be startled by a ghost.
By someone that you think is like a living human because there's so
Yeah.
much literal plane traffic.
Oh, yeah. But one pilot saw her standing on the runway with her arms stretched out as if she was drifting around. Or, excuse me, not as she was, as he in the plane was, like, landing. Others have seen her run across the runway.
Girl, sit down somewhere.
Right? Some of the ground staff saw her in the cargo hold.
Dang.
Surprise.
Some taxi drivers have seen her hailing a cab, but when they approach her, she vanishes. Rude.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
It's like, I gotta get my fare, okay?
Right. But she is pretty benign. You know, that she'll just show up. There's no, like, bad feelings or anything. She's just there.
Except for the whole
scares
stopping
people.
a plane from landing bits.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they would still land. They couldn't really just, like, stop the plane.
I know, but that's so scary for that pilot.
Oh, yeah. But there is another ghost. He was described several times as a demon.
I was gonna say, not so friendly this time.
No. I didn't see any reports of him hurting people. Oh, yeah, this Nita's being super cute right now.
She's wrapped around the microphone.
At the door, we'll have to get a picture. But this headless spirit has been seen around the escalators and the parking bay. Stories of these ghosts have reached local media and have scared some airport employees into refusing to work at night. As far as I can tell, they just startle people. They're not actually violent. So
Okay,
you can
that's
still
good.
fly into Bangalore. They're not going to hurt you. But you might see some people who are not actually there.
Interesting.
Yes. So that is some of the haunts of Bangalore.
Nice.
Awesome. Speaking of dead people, I went a little rogue this week because I read an article like years ago that really stuck with me and I wanted to cover it. So, my case, I am doing the Skeleton Lake or Rup Kund, which may or may not be true crime. It's definitely an unexplained death. Actually, it's probably 700 unexplained deaths.
There's a lot of them.
So that is what I'm going to be talking about. But real quick, I did did a little bit of a look-see, and this is technically 1,934 kilometers away from Bangalore, all the way up north in the Himalayas. But I really wanted to do it, so I looked it up, and that's how far away it is. You're welcome.
We do what we want here. It's fine.
So, Rup Kund, or Mystery Lake or Skeleton's Lake. So, the real name of the lake is Rup Kund, and the other two is what people call it. So, it's a glacier lake in India, in northern India. And so, what that means is that it's frozen most of the year, but I think in autumn is when it actually thaws out in India. And it's like an emerald green color, which is really cool. And it's surrounded by mountains and glaciers that melt and refreeze. So there's like a lot of rocks and things inside the glaciers.
I think you did send this to me like last year or a couple years
No.
ago.
I loved this story, so I wanted to cover it. And there's a recent New Yorker article about it that I sent to you guys that we can post.
And this was, you also sent a BBC one.
Yes, it's like getting a lot of traction right now, and there's a recent documentary because they're doing a lot of scientific discoveries on the bodies because no one can understand what they are. So, like I said, it's in the Himalayas. It's literally over 5,000 meters up in the air. Okay, it's kind of small, so it's 40 meters in diameter, and it gets to be at the deepest 10 feet deep. So it's not like a crazy deep, crazy big lake. Like, it's clear that you can like see the lake, right? So pretty little emerald green lake in the Himalayas, right? Except for the fact that there are hundreds of ancient and now known to be modern skeletons.
It would be one thing if it was
Wild.
just ancient, because it'd be like,
It's
lost
from 3
civilization
different
or
time
something.
periods.
Yeah, see, that's insane.
Wild.
Yeah, and they're still doing testing. Testing is ongoing. So there's 300 to 700. They think it's more, and I'll talk about why they can't tell exactly. And so the water's so clear you can literally see them all at the bottom of the lake. So you can just look in the water, and it's like freaking Harry Potter with the Inferi. You just look down, and there's just bodies. Some of them, because it is so cold,
Yeah.
some of them still have flesh on them.
Oh.
So the skeletons were discovered in 1942 by Nanda Devi, and so they were a game ranger, and they were talking about like, oh no, it's so scary, right? But this is in the 40s. So at first, the British authorities thought that they were casualties of hidden Japanese invaders. So they thought that they were the Japanese invading to attack the British stations in India, and they just got lost in the mountains and died. But these skeletons were way, way, way too old to be skeletons from this time period. And since you can literally see them, they like look through. There was some wooden artifacts, only one spearhead, an iron one, which that's important. So it's not like from a war. Literally only one spearhead was found. 30 skeletons were taken out in 2003 for the testing that I'm going to talk about. So there's a bunch of legends as to why they're there. The local legend of people who live in the area of the Himalayas, there was a king Kanuju and his wife, I'm just going to call him the Raja, which is his king. and then his wife, Rani, and his servants, a dance troupe, and they went on a pilgrimage to Nanda Devi Shrine, which is along the way. It's a Hindu shrine. It's very important. People go to it all the time, right? So it's a big pilgrimage. It doesn't go directly by the lake, but it's the closest thing that people could think of. And the king really wanted to be like, he was really into like earthly pleasures, and so he brought his dance troupe, and that angered the gods who were going on pilgrimage, and so it said that they brought a giant hailstorm, which killed them all, and then they ended up in the lake. So that's the local legend, which they think may be partially true. So there's a
hail?
Yes. So there's at least 300
out in the elements, and it's big ass hail.
No, like literally the only. Well, I'll talk about the bodies next. So the anthropological survey of India. So India is one of the countries with the most research done on human bodies, because in Hinduism it is not taboo to do studies on cadavers, like it is in like Christianity and Judaism and Islam especially. So Hindus do not have an issue with corpses the way that a lot of other cultures do. So India has had the most testing done on bodies of almost anywhere in the world.
It's kind of weird that Christianity views bodies as they do, because it says in the Bible that you will receive a new body, so why would we hold on to the old one?
Back in the day, they used to think the soul was stored in, like, your liver and crap, so...
Yeah, I don't know. But, most of the skeletons, so this is what's really interesting. Men and women, anywhere from children up to elderly, most are around the age of 18 to 35. All of them healthy. Only injuries they can find is some of them had minor blunt force trauma, but the blunt force trauma was from large circular objects, like large. But that's the only thing they can find wrong with any of these bodies.
How odd.
That's not even the weirdest part. So, they concluded that they had been caught in a hailstorm. That's the only thing they can think of, that giant hail literally smashed them. Because the blunt force trauma isn't even that, like, bad. Like, it's not like someone beat their head in. Like, it is not, it's violent, but not in, like, a human intentional violent. Like, a hail accidentally hit them violent.
Yeah, because especially with, like, such old remains and then, like, the newer ones, you would think in the, like, time, the age.
Yeah. So, radiocarbon dating has said that most of them are from around 800 CE. And there are other ones from around 1800.
See, that's why I would think it would be like a
So that's
That's 1,000.
That's 1,000 years. They thought that maybe it was group suicide, but they can't find anything on the bodies. No poison, nothing. So, on top of them being from different time periods, they belong to distinct different ethnic groups. So not all of them are from India. So, the group from 800 are from South Asian ancestry. They are not family, but they're from the same region, eat the same foods, same kind of genetic makeup. Other skeletal remains are from two groups from the 1800s and in between. So another one is from another Southeast Asian origin. And then this is the kicker that they can't figure out. The rest of them are from somewhere in the Mediterranean.
Oh.
My geography's not great, but...
It's really far away.
Yeah.
This is not on a trade route. It's not near the ocean. And these are clearly Mediterranean people. The closest that they can find is people from Crete. It's the closest genetic makeup, the closest diet, the closest everything. They're, like, clearly different. Like, you can even tell, untrained eyes can tell by looking at the skeletons, like, they're much taller. They have different bone structure. It's, like, crazy. So they were deposited over an extended period of time, and they think the younger group was deposited during a single event. So there's been bodies just being dumped there for 1,000 years, basically.
Wow.
And then it was found, 150 years later. So they're doing extensive research, and I'll get into that. But conservation concerns, they're trying to get it put on as an ecotourist site because people are going in. So the bodies are just in the bottom of the lake, right? Just like chilling there, and the water's so clear you can see them. Tourists have started putting them in like weird patterns to make it look like a weird ritual. So they're literally going in, grabbing bones, and like stacking them on top of each other. And then they literally don't know how many bones have been lost because people are taking bones with them when
That's
they
how
leave.
you get haunted, people.
Also, that's someone's body.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a creepy girl. I would be taking a stone home and be like, this touched the water. I would do that.
Right.
I would never.
No.
First of all, scientifically, archaeologically, and just morally, that is screwed up. But there's so many bones missing that they can't complete a full skeleton. Because, so some of it's natural, like compression, freezing, things like that. But, so they're like trying to get tourists to not do that. Because in the area, people like hike in the area, right? So there's a couple of different religious festivals held in the meadow around it. One in every autumn, but that's just for local people. And then a large celebration called the Nanda Devi Rajat takes place once every 12 years at the pool, where they worship the goddess Nanda. So like it's
At that lake?
yes,
Okay.
but there's no sacrifice in any of these. That is not part of this religion. That's not part of this.
So what I'm wondering is, not sacrifice, especially because there were no, like...
Well, they thought it was like mystical suicide, like a group suicide, but they cannot find any evidence of
I was
that.
wondering that too, but I'm wondering because of, like, the age range and stuff like that, if it's, like, if you die between this range, like, of natural causes or something, we take your body here and
But
lay
they
it
didn't
to
show
rest
any
here.
sign. They thought maybe it was an open air burial, but none of the people. It doesn't make any sense because all these people were healthy. Like something killed them, but they can't tell what it is. And most of the older people are all women, so the only thing they can think of is that this group would be people on a pilgrimage and some weird weather pattern. But they haven't. The area gets massive hailstorms, but they only found blunt force trauma on a couple of the people.
Yeah.
So it literally would have had to hit like soft tissue, like hit them in the liver and rupture their liver for them to die. But there was no medical attention given to any of them. They don't know if it was hypothermia because the bone, like they can't find, because even the ones with the body, like still, there's still flesh and hair attached to them. And so they're able to do pretty extensive research and they can't figure it out. So,
well, since there's been freezing, it freezes every year, obviously, because glacial lake. I mean, could they tell if cause of death was hypothermia since it's been freezing since? Because my thought would be if they're on a pilgrimage and they just froze to death and that just happened
it's possible.
to be...
That's another one of the theories. So the BBC has a great article. The New Yorker has an article. Most of them that I've seen, it's that a lot of them said that they were tall. There was no babies, and all of them were in good health.
Interesting.
And because it wasn't a single group, they know that people have died over the course of time. It wasn't just one single catastrophic incident. They're thinking that maybe people died by the elements earlier, but they don't know why an entire group, like statistically an entire group of people don't die. Because that was in the 1860s or whatever. There would be someone would have known, or the locals would have been like, we had a storm at this time. That's where all these rotting corpses came from.
Yeah.
People get in the lake now.
So it's not like really a swimming lake. It's cold.
So could it be something with the lake itself? Like if they went to like, oh, we're on a pilgrimage and we stopped to bathe here or something.
And it was cold or something? I don't know. But yeah, some of them date back 1,200 years.
Yeah.
Like there's just been bodies piling up. And the current count is 700. Like that is that I can't even imagine a pilgrimage with 700 people in the Himalayas. Especially there's no historical evidence of a large group of Hindus from Greece.
Right.
There's no history of that. So, and like I said, they're not all related. It's not like it's one family. who like went there and tried to like set up a well, or you know what I mean? They like really can't seem, but apparently if it was a pilgrimage, a whole group of people from Europe traveled there and died in the Hindu pilgrimage. So the New Yorker the New York Times and the New Yorker are doing like a ton of studies into this. The articles are excellent, and the New Yorker actually has one that it'll read it to you. It's like a 45-minute read through article, which is really interesting. And that's where it talks about the science. So basically they're doing bone samples in really intense labs, partnered with Penn State and Oxford and, like I said, the India Institute of Anthropology, because they're so open to exploring human remains that they get a lot of information. So they have some of the most, it's the most genetically mapped country in the world. So they literally have samples of everyone from so many time periods, and these people just like don't match any of them.
Wow.
So there's people from India, America, and Germany updated a series. They examined 38 remains from all the different things, but people really can't figure it out. So this is an ongoing study right now using DNA. They're trying to get DNA from the cochleus, which is the bone inside your ear, because it's the most protected. Because a lot of times different microbes will attach to your bones, and so that's how they're getting they have to like get through that to get to the actual human DNA. But they're just they can't figure it out, and every time they get one answer they get more. So like I said, the articles are fascinating. We'll post it because it's like, it took me a long time to read the article because it's very science heavy, talking about the actual process in which they do it. But the New Yorker is the best one. It's called The Skeletons at the Lake, and it is written by Douglas Preston, and this was from December 7th, 2020. Like, this is an ongoing investigation trying to figure this out. And so I first read about it a long time ago. Also, the image is gorgeous. It's like the lake in the Himalayas, but it's shaped like a skull. It would be an awesome tattoo. But it's so interesting, and there's like multiple countries working on it, because they just can't figure out what's wrong, like how it happened, where they came from, and now that we have, there's nothing linking these people.
Interesting.
So it had to have been a belief, and like I said, so many of the bodies were healthy that there's no broken bones that weren't healed. Like, some of them had like minor broken bones, but they were all healed, so they're all like healthy, which at that time period, for anyone to be healthy, it was a miracle.
Yeah.
So sacrifice keeps coming up, but they can't find any evidence of that from any of the religions. They're wondering if it was like maybe a specific cult that like came out of a small group, but then why were there people from the Mediterranean?
Right.
Unless there's no ethnic group that matches those people exactly. So my answer, of course, is that they're aliens. But that's from 2020, like December of 2020, and that's the most recent studies. And they're still drilling and still getting DNA samples and then running the DNAs. But then they have to start putting together bodies. And there's like they took 35 because there are so many skeletons in this lake that like they can, like, it will take decades to test them all. And if you are one of those terrible people who stole bones from there, please give them to a scientist near you, because that is crucial information.
You are haunted.
Yeah. But yeah, it is.
Do not salt and burn those dead.
No, we
Take
need
them
those.
back.
So I'm fascinated by unexplained deaths. I just, the figure out person in me wants to figure out what the problem is, and I don't know, 700 people, that's incredible. That is a huge amount of people, and they're all in this tiny little lake. They're just chilling.
I was
literally
excited for this one because I love mysteries too, and like
I
wanted to what about this?
Yeah.
Oh, what about? Because I knew you like done all your research, and they're doing extensive research on it. So because like ritual sacrifice sounds like the first thing, but there are no obvious injuries.
Which I would consider ritual sacrifice true crime.
Yeah,
that's a true crime thing. I would consider like Jonestown, which was ritual suicide. That's true crime. So there's a chance this was true crime. There's a chance that this was literally divine intervention. There's a chance this was nature. There's a chance this was some sort of, I don't know, maybe like a cholera outbreak, but they can't find evidence of anything.
Mm-hmm.
But cholera could kill a large group of people really quickly, and we wouldn't know. But I meant, I bet you they're looking into what killed large groups of people in the American, like, Oregon Trail, like, groups that went missing, because I'm assuming, you know, in the winter months, it's kind of similar. So if it was me, I would be doing research on what happened to large parties that just all died or disappeared there. But even there's only one or two that we don't know what actually happened. Like the Roanoke colony, something similar. But it's like an entire group of people, more people than were at Roanoke, just all died. Yeah. And we have their bodies on like Roanoke, but there's no reason why they're there. So I read this article, I read a article years ago, and it just really stuck with me, so I knew I wanted to cover it. So, super interesting.
It is really interesting.
There's a new documentary that was made by a team of scientists, so you should go watch it.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed your tour of Bangalore.
Bye.
Bye.
Follow us on Instagram at Darkside Tour Guides and on Twitter at Darkside Guides. Give us a like on Facebook at Darkside Tour Guides. Visit the blog at darksidetourguide.wordpress.com or email us at darksidetourguides@gmail.com.